we'll see. You'd be surprised, man. You just never. We don't. I mean, Kim's gonna have a hard time with the other kid. I mean, because she knows a lot.
Yep, we live. We're live.
Well, that's fair too.
So, I mean, I'm early right now, but I guess just leave it on, or?
I mean, that's the.
It's streaming. So you good? So, but I put it on pre-meeting until you time. That's up to you, but I mean, it's, I know, yeah. You want me to sit with you a little while? See? All right, let me show you over there.
Right. All the poles are buried in the ground. They were always in the game. There's nothing to say. They're back on. They start burying all the poles. I think it would help out. And I don't expect them to do it overnight. They do a little bit, even if it's 2 or 3%. We had that problem. Yeah. And I get it, it's expensive. I think if you figure out what the expense is, and they can even do 2 or 3 a year, I mean, within 10 years, I mean, 30 years, you have a little town like this. Right. But that way they're always working. Might be something to look into. Right. That would eventually make the cost go down. They would have a whole lot less to have to fix. It's all there. I don't think they do anything to Why they did that in the 60s? And they were able to develop their So, all right, I'll tell you, I don't know if I told you how, man. I apologize. Oh, I met him many times.
Oh, you did?
I've been on vacation with him. Yeah. Is that one? I don't miss it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. If I can sneak in without having to go be walking. That's good.
I liked your,
I try to keep it.
Sammy,
That too. Gus,
it's working now.
Gus helped me out. Gave me like all the groundwork and rearrange some stuff.
yeah. Yeah, it does.
You got it to work with?
I don't know that.
Okay, I'll try. I'm only on pork right there. But
I gave him one,
Oh, I didn't get
I think.
That's right.
Yeah, because you didn't leave one at my house.
I did.
that's French. I always think of France. They do the.
There we go, ready?
Yeah, but this.
You scan that, it goes straight to the website.
Got to be all fancy. But kids.
So I think
Now she will.
but it'll go to my website. Yeah.
on the box of like checks, still not good. From my business, I'm on yeah. Did you get her to get a crash course in it, sir? Yep. I wish you the best. Don't forget how it Somebody else told me it sounded good. I didn't know maybe.
And tell me what's on you. You know, last time he was here.
At least a month. Somebody else said that too. He lost the time. He got cancer. He said the word. Oh, really?
I'm gonna be on. I know it's like
Oh, happy birthday. I mean, if you need something from
I'm
me,
gonna text me. Just say hello.
yeah. If you need something from me, you tell me holla. You got my number. Ain't good for much, I can list stuff and move stuff around. Is this a filter in this? We got a filter?
That enhanced button worked on the phone. Tori couldn't believe it. Who is that? For me. On my picture.
Was that your high school?
No. I wanted to use it for
Glamour shot. You should have did like a
Yeah.
glamour shot.
Remember that?
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Like if I knew it wouldn't be so serious, like if it was serious, I would have done something easy like that. That would be just a beat. I'm sure the mustache is not ready. She's probably laughing. It's whatever.
Yes. It is, it's in the street.
Is Peter sent us anything that he came out? Oh, he said he was going to email.
Seven to That's good. I can read that. I can read it. Oh, it
Hey, Steph.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good to see you.
Feeling better, man. I'm 15 pounds heavier.
Hey, man, look at you. You're looking good.
When people tell you to quit eating and break this food, 5,000 calories a day to less than, what, 1,200? As soon as he told me, he said, okay, you can get back on the partial every diet. First one I went, got 3 hamburgers. Everybody all right?
hanging in there.
And
The
then
mayor's not here.
putting in
Can
what
you
are
get
the
started?
layers
All right, I'd like to open up the Public Works Committee.
Everyone is here except Mr. Lyle Fogelman. I'd just like to start off by making a motion to amend the agenda to discuss the council person's access to the new computer system. Do I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Woolridge. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, discussion?
You want to expand on that?
Yes, I'll explain it. We were promised access to the new computer system, probably, I don't know, maybe going on to a couple of years now, and it hadn't happened yet, so I was like an update on that. Any other discussion?
It's gonna be an action item or it's gonna be?
It's not just be a discussion item. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Also, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to discuss the curb and gutter replacement in Beauvoir subdivision.
Offer. Second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'd like to start off by having Mr. Albert John, the Public Works Director.
Good afternoon. Only have a couple of things. Wherever tractor we put in the shop today will probably be out of service for the next 3 weeks. It's warranty work that's being done from a prior service. The other thing is we're spraying from the skids, covering the city once a week. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. John? Questions? Cool.
Yes, sir.
The police units that have been parked, the police units that have been parked at Public Works,
Yes.
are all those need repair, or they salvage, or they?
Some of them are there to be used as parts. Several of them are there that they have to be auctioned at a future date. There are a couple of them that you guys declared as surplus 3 years ago. The police department was going to sell individually, that did not get sold. So
Is that because we didn't have any buyers for them?
I can't answer that. That would be a question for the chief.
Okay.
They did sell, I forget exactly how many they had brought. Must have been 7 or 8 maybe. And I know some different towns from different areas did come by and look at them. But that was all handled by the police department. So that's all I can tell you.
Mr. Sharp?
Yeah. Are we still doing that program where we offer it to other municipalities? What do you call it?
what?
You say we have surplus police cars, right? All right, are we still offering it to the different police departments?
I'm sorry, what? I couldn't.
I think in the past, we've offered those police
Yeah.
units to different police departments like Eswood.
Donate it to them.
That is a question for the chief of police, because that's police department. Equipment, I don't know what he comes to you guys about. I think you guys have declared some as surplus for that purpose, or I can't answer that because it's not my equipment. I can't tell you.
Well, I thought once you receive them, that they were under your tutelage. Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else for Mr. Sharp? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have the street commissioner, Mr. Gilbert Ozane.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everything is basically the same. Still trying to keep up with the grass. We're doing a pretty good job with that, that being the guy. We cut a few trees that have fallen, that caused on the trees that have fell. When they cut them up, grind up the stump. We installed some culverts at on 9th Street and Avenue F, 4th and Avenue E. That was for Mr. Anthony Clem. Also installed some at 408 East 11th Street for Mr. Rishaw. And all this was done under the new ordinance. Waiting to get to find out how much catch basin we have to put in for them. And we repaired 4 of them. And that's about it. Any questions?
I saw several culverts out on Highway 13 going north on
Florida Drive.
Forest Drive, that could be
That's a
city.
project, that's a project for, contract.
Okay, so it's not, the city's not putting those.
No, sir.
Okay. Anything else from Mr. Gill?
Yeah, I got no question. Yeah, y'all still, charging the same for to put down the culverts?
So far yet, so far that I know of yet, that we changed yet.
So we still mimicking Abbeville, correct, $1 a foot, whatever?
Right.
Okay, thank you, man. 'Cause someone will be giving you a call or something. I wasn't sure, what the process, but I did tell them we were trying to do Abbeville and,
They call City Hall, they'll give them the total full, description of whatever they gotta do.
well, this person here called Abbeville and got the description of what.
Oh, Abbeville?
Yeah, I told him, I said, man, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said, well, I got with
No,
Abbeville,
we
we
ain't
charged
going
right
back there,
here.
sir.
All right, appreciate it, thank you, man.
Not a problem.
All right, anything else? Oh, Mr. Jeff Cavett?
Thank you. Gilbert, you could follow up with on the tree that came down, was cut down on 13 and I believe I.
13 and 9.
Yeah. It was, or is it G? It's on the corner there. I've already spoken to the parish about it. If you don't mind following up with them.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Because at one point, it was stuck out so much that the brick, that they called it, it's liquid due to that.
Okay. That they had cut down? Was it,
I believe the
I think it was
contractor cut
13 and
down.
G, wasn't it?
G, yeah.
Yes, and some of them been removed.
Yeah, he moved, so I just want to make sure they follow up and get the rest of it done.
I'll take that, I'll check it into it.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Anything else from Mr. Gill? Thank you, Mr. Gill. Next up, city engineer, Mr. Tim Maker.
Thank you, sir. I think you all have a copy of my written report. I have one and only one action item that would be on page 4. It begins on page 4 at the bottom of the page. You see where I have the letter G in the left margin, contract B for the citywide street improvements contract. The action is at the top of page 5. And that is to approve partial payment estimate number 2. As of June 25th, the contract was 21% complete by time, 32% complete by cost. And this partial payment estimate number 2 has the total value of work done through June 25th at $3,167,628.07. The amount of $158,381.40 is withheld for labor material means. And so the total amount due is $1,518,376.48. And I would ask that you approve partial payment estimate number 2 to Glenn Leger Construction for contract B in that amount.
I'll make a motion as read,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And no other action items. As always, if you have any questions about any of the updates, be glad to answer them now or between now and next Wednesday or next Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else from Mr. Mayor? Moving on to the amended agenda items. First off, we'd like to discuss the council person's access to the new computer system. Mr. Mayor, could you update us on that?
It's the same information I had last month. As a matter of fact, I talked with somebody today, so we're trying. That's all I have.
Anybody else got anything else on that? Next up, the amended agenda items to discuss the curb and gutter replacement in Beauvoir subdivision. Yes, Mr. Mayor, did you address that?
Yes, sir. The question, I believe, that was posed was what is happening with drainage in Beauvoir subdivision. There's construction going on to remove and replace gutter under the contract B. I think one of the concerns was that that work might detract from progress with the overlay project. but that work is in the same contract. So Lynn Leger is removing, replacing curb and gutter sections that have sunken to the point of breaking away, going down below the edge of the pavement. The one that's probably the easiest one to think of is the one that Dr. Angelo owns on Rue Ali. There was a really significant amount of settlement there. It was next to a transformer. The transformer was next to a tree, and so it was a difficult thing to do because the transformer was so close. So we are removing and replacing curb and gutter in a few areas of Old Rock that have sunk to a significant degree, and that it will not affect the progress because it's in the same contract as the overlay work.
So it's still in the same scope of work, so it's not gonna cost any more. It's all covered in there. I just wonder why that area was chosen and not other areas, because I know Mr. Lavelle's driveway has something, his curb and gutters horrible. There's several other places like that, but I just wonder why all of it in Beauvoir was chosen.
Well, it's happening in places all over town. We could never afford to remove and replace all the curb and gutter throughout the city that exhibit this depression and hold water. We tried to get to the ones that were prominent, the ones that were, let's say, most affected by rainfall. They were in a place where a lot of rainfall would create a big pond, a big bird bath in the gutter. I'm not going to tell you we missed them all because the plans were done 2 years ago, 1.5, 2 years ago, and things have changed. So there could be some places that need this kind of attention that didn't need it at the time when preparing the plans. It still would be a matter of can we afford to go out and remove and replace every curb and gutter section that is too flat or sunken to some degree.
I think the main concern was this going to cost them any additional money, because I don't remember it ever coming up in the process of the street improvements project. But maybe it did, and I just don't remember it. I didn't see it on any of my plaques or anything. It's a strength of it.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mayor, how many feet, do you know approximately how many feet of curb and gutter have been?
I can get that for you. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it was in the plans from the very beginning, plans that we brought to the council to approve. And there are areas all over the city. And it's not miles and miles of curb and gutter by any stretch. It's an expensive thing to do, remove curb and gutter and to replace it. Ken had asked about why is it so deep? Well, curb and gutter is an integral concrete curb and gutter section that runs, if I remember right, 15 to 18 inches deep just for stability. And there's limestone under that to maintain stability. So it's not a cheap thing to do. So we attempted to apply it to the areas that needed the most, the most urgent.
I'm sorry, I just have two more. Do you know why they didn't start at Dr. Angelo's property first? Is that just?
I guess that it was that transformer had to be relocated. And that
Because
was
they didn't have anything in front of his house yet.
You saying they have not done it? The contractor is at liberty to schedule his work the way he sees fit.
And then also I noticed some of the driveways and the new curb and the new gutter, it's not meeting. So how are they
I
going
need to
fix
add
that?
some of
Okay.
what you speaking of.
Okay. I'll send you some.
I can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Court.
And can you expand on why there is in contract A, east part of town, where curb and gutters are located, haven't been addressed because there are several areas, as we discussed, that are holding water due to depressed curb and gutter. And just kind of explain committee the reason why those aren't being addressed.
I'm not sure they are not because we're not finished in that section of town, but I think I just explained it all, that there are areas that maybe more severe now than they were when we prepared the plans, so that would be one reason why they're not in the plans. Could be that we looked at particular spots that were not in a place where holding water, we felt was something that caused instability to the roadway. And I'll just say it again, we can't afford, the city doesn't have enough money to remove and replace every foot of curb and gutter throughout the town that exhibits flatness or depression.
I agree, I just want to know why, the curb and gutter replacement was only designated to contract B and not considered in contract A. That's what the decision was.
I don't think that's the case, the premise is wrong, but we have curb and gutter replacement in both contracts.
Well, thank you, I didn't know that.
Anything else? You want to state your name and address? You have something?
Yeah.
Do any of y'all still have pride in Crowley?
Can you state your name and address, please?
My name is John Hanks, I grew up here in West 14th Street, Crowley, Louisiana.
Thank you.
Do any of y'all still have the pride in Crowley? That little sticker on the side of the vehicle states? Okay. And, they say we got a contract with the state to cut grass. Well, you got $180,000 worth of equipment that you're using to cut state property. And most of it, that's where it's used for. And they don't cut the citizens of Crowley, the grass or the ditches. Well, somebody voted that down, but they'll cut state ditches. And then the taxpayers pay money for what? Because they're not getting no services. They cut one side of the street, and they don't cut the other side with the tractor. That don't make any sense. They're not supposed to cut no ditches, but they're doing it.
Mr. Hanks, do you have a specific area or street is there a specific street that you're discussing so that we could add Mr. Albert John is here and also Mr. Gilbert Ozing's here? I'm sure they can answer that question.
Well, 15th Street is where they cut one side and don't cut the other side.
15th Street.
15th Street.
East side, west side?
West side.
West side.
West.
The west side, I'm sorry, north and east, I guess. 15th is north and south. So it'll be the north side or the south side?
Well, you cut the north side, but leave the south side.
Okay.
Huh? But that's what I was told by a city employee, that the city limit stopped at 15th Street. Look at the city map. It's 300 foot out there in that field. That's all belongs to the city of Crowley. Now why? Nobody knows where the city limits is. So, I don't know. In fact, that's why I was told about the culverts. They didn't check the culverts on 15th Street, see if they was collapsed, because the guy said they're out of the city limits. Well, if the city employee that's doing this stuff doesn't know where the city limits is, he don't even be doing the job. Because the culvert hasn't never been changed, everything else but that. And I see one employee going down Western Avenue, picking up trash, and one guy walking, another guy riding in the truck following him. We don't pay people for that. Somebody needs to supervise what the heck's going on in Crowley. And they'll cut grass on the corner of Avenue F and Mill Street, and we eat the doggone south side of Mill Street. That's private property. But we can't cut grass for the private citizens, you know? Asphalt's cracking, y'all all know about that. I don't know what's gonna be done about that. 14th and 15th Street, cracking bad. My driveway is cracking quick, got grass going through the doggone asphalt. That's because they poured the doggone stuff on top of dirt. Yeah, it's time for the citizens, the administration of the city of Crowley to listen to the citizens. Because somebody's not listening. Well, y'all been happy, y'all get jobs.
Mr. Hanks? Mr. Hanks? I think Mr. Martin has a question for you.
Mr. Hayes, you say you live on 15th Street?
I live on 14th Street.
14, I'm sorry. Okay, you say your asphalt is cracking. Has the city started
I can't hear you.
has the city started the, street covering yet in front of your home?
Yes.
And you say it's cracking?
It's already been asphalt.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can't get into a lot of
He
this.
asked if it's the new asphalt, that's
It's
correct.
already been asphalt.
Yeah, it's brand new.
It's been covered.
It's all brand new. It's cracking just like the old asphalt. And you don't go around putting like them tar and new asphalt.
Okay,
The only solution to that, put it all up, start over again.
well, I'm not sure. I think that's something to be, talked about. Now, the other thing, sir, are you aware that the city of Crowley and mayor, you can elaborate on it, gets paid by the state to cut the grass on I-10?
Yes, I'm aware of that. Don't say they get paid for it. But who's supplying the equipment, $180,000 worth of equipment to cut state property?
Yeah, but sir, you gotta.
And what are they doing with the money?
Well, I don't know what's being done with the money,
That's the
but
thing. They can hire employees to cut grass just for the state if they want to. Let the other employees do their job.
okay, all
And
right.
right now, they're so busy, they can't catch up cutting grass. But during the winter time, they're riding around the truck, they ain't doing nothing.
Okay, well, right now we're in the summer now. You just mentioned something that made a lot of sense, but I have to say this. You asked why the city used the equipment. Well, we get paid to cut the grass. I'm pretty sure we have to furnish our own equipment. I think that's a logical thing. We have to, can you hear me now? We have to supply the equipment to cut the grass in order to get paid.
Yeah, but who's paying for the equipment?
Well, I mean, sir, I don't know if you do your yard work, but if you do cut the grass, you probably have to go buy a lawnmower, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah.
For us to cut that grass, we have to go buy a lawnmower as well.
Well, what about the one on Mill Street on the corner? That ain't no state property.
Well, sir, I mean, I was only talking about I-10. I'm not familiar with the area where you're talking about, but part of I-10, but I was on the council when we done the MOU.
Don't y'all have a contract with the citizens of Crowley? that
Yes,
pay
sir,
millage?
yes, sir, yes, sir,
All right.
that we do.
That's what needs to be done.
Okay, but I just want to clarify that we are getting paid by the state to cut the grass, and in order to cut the grass, we had to buy the equipment. I just want,
You hired another guy the other day, just to drive a tractor to cut state grass.
okay.
Mr. Hayes?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hayes, I would make a suggestion to you. You had a lot of questions that we can't answer here. If you would submit those questions to the mayor's office, to the city, and I'm sure that they would answer them for
You
you.
won't get no answer. I done tried. 3 weeks, you ain't called me back.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything for the Public Works Committee? Public Works recess.
Thank you. Next is utility, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to say thanks to all the council members that called and was checking on me. Me, I was checking on myself as well. Thank you. Let's see, we do have a quorum. So we'll start off with Jim Craig. Please. What's going on, Jim?
Good afternoon. For the month of June, we had 784 Louisiana one-call locate requests. The majority of those calls were for the ongoing projects they have going on in the city. We had 19 work orders filed during the month. We pulled both pumps at the 8th Street lift station. They were cleaned, inspected, put back in service. We're down 2 employees. We interviewed a couple of candidates. One, we're waiting on a physical and a drug screen to come back to hire. The other one never showed up for his second interview, so we're moving forward trying to find other candidates. Last, even though we are short, we still have the same amount of work, and we're still moving forward the best we can with what we have. But I want to thank those guys for being the ones that put back on the wastewater report. Anybody have any questions?
This, the ones that you hired, that's general labor or is it specific labor?
Generally,
So you're gonna advertise, is the city advertising in the newspaper or just by word of mouth?
we will be getting with personnel that have that done.
And that's one thing we had talked about this a while back. And I'm very adamant when it comes down to being righteous with city money. And one thing I've noticed, and not just talking to you, I have a lot of my constituents always asking the questions, is anything going on in City Hall, are they hiring, or what have you? And we just don't know. At least I don't know. I don't know if the rest of the council members know whether they're hiring or what have you. I have no idea. But the minute they call and find out there is an opening, and I'm not trying to throw nobody under the bus, I'm just saying what they're telling me. First thing happened is, well, that position has been filled. And, you know, somebody told me something a while back. They said, Steph, you showed up and slowed down. I'm like, okay, well, because there's a reason for it. It's public money. Everybody agree? Taxpayers' money, public money. You read the newspaper, first thing you see in the morning is people advertising for work. I noticed the other day, Head Start had almost a full page advertising what they had going on. I'm just hoping, I don't know why it's not that way now, but Mayor, we have to be more responsible with taxpayers' money when it comes down to it in the car. Well,
Thank you, Chair. In the past, Mr. Crater has come to me when he was in need of an employee. And we did put it out there on Indeed, which we find is one that is very wide, and a lot of people look at it. Indeed is an employee opportunity. Also, we do offer people to go over to Workforce to put in an application.
Okay, with that being said, I don't know how many people have a chance to go in Indeed. You have to be pretty savvy on the computer to get to it. But it doesn't take much when, I know I get my newspaper the day before. It's a lot easier for someone to pick up their newspaper and find out if there's work to be done. We are equal opportunity bring to government. Everybody agree with that? Well, if we're equal opportunity branch of government, we need to be equal opportunity when it comes down to funds and jobs. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that I speak to, I have spoken to, first thing they say, why is City Hall so top heavy? I'm like, well, I believe that if you got a person in a position to do jobs, they need to be paid for that job. Okay? And I'll tell you, we got some good employees over at City Hall, we got good employees through the whole city. But the fact of the matter is, you get good employees and you get better employees when there's competition in the road. Don't you agree? I think the administrator said. So I would like to see from this point on, if possible, if there's any job that comes up in the city of Crowley, whether it's at wastewater or wherever it may be, that it be advertised. Because one thing I've learned, I've sent people to different cities all through the state where they'll call me and say, hey man, we need somebody, man, just use the word, or public works or what have you. We need a person that knows how to handle a backhoe or what have you. Well, you know, through the years that I've been on council and able to, you know, get with different people, phone calls were made and all of a sudden no position was filled. But one thing that I noticed that they do, they start at home first. They advertise at home. So I understand what Indeed, and don't get me wrong, Indeed, it is what it is. But I just overheard a few of my colleagues say, what the hell is Indeed? You know? So I just want to bring that up, and Tim, if you would, I don't know how far you got with the other candidates, but I think you get a lot more candidates if you would advertise in the newspaper.
I will meet with Ms. Julie tomorrow morning about an ad to run in the paper.
Yeah, because you is good one.
Let me just say that we had, the mayor, like the job service office, at First, between Front and First on Parks and
Right.
the Enterprise Building. They do take applications. We have received, I believe, 5 or 6 over the course of 2 months from there.
Right.
So, I'll get with her, we'll get an ad in for sure, or possibly we get more candidates. And it doesn't interview every one of them, we kind of.
Well, you always
pick
want
and
the best.
choose, but,
Well, you always want the best. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking what has been done, but I would like to see a little bit more done. Since, you know, we're getting to a point now where, you know, city government is starting to be more and more, of a, I won't say a hectic job, but, I mean, you see what's going on in different cities right now. We just been lucky. We just been lucky. Anyway, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, next we got city engineer Tim Mason.
Thank you, sir. I have one action item in utility committee. It's, the item 9, it begins on page 17, the LCDBG fiscal year 2021 project. That is the citywide sanitary sewage system repair. The action is on page 18 near the bottom. This is partial payment estimate number 1 to NCMC LLC. As of June 25th, the contract was 4% complete by time, 4% complete by cost. Partial payment estimate number 1 has the work done through that date, June 25th, at $73,361.56. $3,668.08 is being withheld for labor and material liens, and the total amount due is $69,693.48. The council action requested is to approve partial payment estimate number 1 to NCMC LLC in that amount.
So moved.
All right, it was offered without objection. The second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any discussion? Sorry. All right.
Mr. Mayor, are they finding any things that they have to repair while they're doing all the smoke testing? Does it look like it's gonna be a big problem? We're gonna have a lot of repairs, or is things looking pretty good?
And with only 4% of the work, and most of that's been smoke testing, the results of all that aren't out yet. But we don't expect that we'll have a lot less repair work to do than what we estimated in the contract. Next month will be a better time to answer that question.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now, Tim, this is free to the public, correct? What's being done?
The contract that I'm referring to here is paid 100% by LCDBG funds. That's was a $1.6 million grant, and it had to be increased to 1.8 because of the bids being higher than expected.
Okay, but the public do know that it's free. I didn't tell them to do that, but if you gonna find something wrong on a sewer line, and the next thing you know, I have to pay for whatever. So, just wanna make sure that it is what it is. All right, well, thank you. I'm sorry?
No, Mr. Tim, I think what he's referring to is way back whenever we had a conversation, and I think, Mr. Martin, I think this is what you're referring to, is that within this grant, if they are eligible, if they do have a problem on the private side, they can apply for that, correct?
Yeah, the residents who qualify by income level will be approached by the contractor. If smoke testing reveals a breach on the private side, they will be approached, and they have to agree to allow the contractor on the property, but it won't cost them anything.
Well, that's where I'm at. Okay, that's what I'm talking about right now. I understand what we're doing. We're testing to make sure that if there is leaks, what have you. But I'm at the point now where I'm asking the question, if a leak is found, that is it only the census tracts or is it citywide?
the project's citywide, the people that would be eligible for the repair at no cost have to be, they have to be certified in some way as low to moderate income families.
So basically, in a census tract, you automatically is up.
They will be approached door to door for not only permission, but to confirm that they are low moderate income
Right.
families. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In that case, it won't cost.
All right, well, I think that's something that needs to be handed out, let them know. But, just want to make sure that there was no cost involved, because, like I said, you get phone calls that people are in my yard and what are they doing here, I didn't call for them and whatever, who's gonna pay for that? Maybe there's another way of getting it out. Thank you, man, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, okay, all in favor, we'll go on.
What about the owners that may not meet that income level? What are the requirements for repair? Does this smoke testing service have the ability to provide plumbing services or do you have to hire a local plumber? How would that work if you're not in compliance?
Where smoke testing reveals breaches, problems with the soil on private property, and that owner does not qualify as low moderate income, then that will be logged, and then that person will be approached by the code enforcement to repair that breach, and that person will have to hire their own plumber.
Does that include rent houses also?
Yes, sir.
So the owner of the rent houses has to meet the criteria as a low income or moderate income to be able to qualify for his rent house to be repaired.
No, the resident has to be low moderate income.
Not on, yeah, that much I know.
Yeah, they're being awarded.
Any other question? We call for the question already, all in favor? Opposed, have the same right? Okay.
That's the only action item that I have. Everything else is in the form of an update.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Martin? Recess?
Yeah, that's it, that's all you have to? That's it. All right. Okay, anything else to come, well, let's see, we've done, action item, anything else to come before you close this? No recess.
All right. You recess, Mr. Martin?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next is Recreation Committee. Mr. Primo is not here. He's heading back, but, Mr. Craig?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call to order the Recreation Committee. We do have a quorum. Mr. Primo and Mr. Bolden are both absent. First off, I didn't receive the report from the Recreation Director, Mr. Peter Kirsch, but I think the Mayor did. So.
Yes, sir, he attended both of us. I'm sorry you didn't know I was going to get you reading. What he said is that we have 3 all-star teams that have advanced to the super regional round of all-star play this year with our boys. Pinto Americans winning the super regional tournament and advancing to the World Series. Congratulations. We are continuing to host tournaments throughout the third weekend of July. We saw teams visit Crowley this summer from Mississippi, Florida, Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, and Colorado. We are filling in the fall schedule for this year of tournaments, and dates are filling as expected. We will start registration for fall sports, soccer and flag football on July 25th, and it will remain open for 6 weeks. Anyone needing assistance can come to the Rice Festival building or call 337-788-4124, and someone will be happy to assist you. I would like to thank Mr. Smokey Wheeler for his efforts in coordinating the roller skating events for this summer at the Martin Luther King Center. We have had 2 sessions, June 18th and July 1st. So far, and we are averaging 30 to 35 kids per session. We have seen children from 3 to 63 put skates on and enjoy themselves. The next roller skating session will be July 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Martin Luther King Center. The event is completely free for all interested, but if you want to skate, you will have to fill out a form The forms are available at the Martin Luther King Center and the Rice Festival building, or you can sign up at the door. This event has been a very positive experience for both the young and more mature children of Crowley. We have started selling advertisement spots the road. Anyone interested can contact Peter or his staff at 337-788-4124, and I can fill you in on the packages we have to offer, from team sponsors to field sponsors. We can get you noticed. I will be out of the office on vacation the rest of the week. We'll be back on July 11th. Anyone has any questions, you can get in touch with me then when he returns, and he thanks you very much for all that you do to assist him. Peter Kirsch.
Thank you. Any questions for the mayor about recreation? Next up, city engineer, Mr. Tim Mayor.
Thank you. I have no action items, and the update is on page 24.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any other items to come before the recreation committee? Then the recreation committee recess.
Thank you. Next is zoning and annexation. Mr. Martin, would you preside?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, we're going to convene. We do have a quorum. We're going to start off with Jim, city engineers report.
Thank you. No action items. The updates are on page 22 and 23.
Okay. On the action items, the one, the favorable recommendation of the City of Crowley Planning Commission to consider approving the application for the variance to allow conditional use of a permit for city switch 298-200 Mill Street, Crowley, Louisiana, to erect a tower that will be located at the above address. All right, motion carried on that. It's offered. Mayor, wait, before we do this.
Go ahead. But if you don't mind, get someone to second.
Yeah,
What the second button is the same.
all right.
Discussion.
Okay. What is the city switch?
It's a switch is from AT&T. They've already been through all the channels. That's why we're bringing it here to you now. They've already been through the planning commission. They've already been through the historical district commission with approval. And it's going to be located, if you approve, it would be located on East Mill Street. You know where that little triangle property is on Mill Street and Clayton? Remember where the old Clico used to be? They have a little empty lot, it's a little triangle.
On Mill Street?
On Mill Street, yes, sir. And it happens to be right inside the border of the historic district. That's why they had to go through the historic commission. It's on the south side of Mill Street. It's a very little small triangle spot. Now, the reason why, if I may, the reason why that they're looking for a conditional use as a variance is because your ordinance allows up to 45 feet in the city of Crowley. This is going to be in the neighborhood of about 160 feet. So, like I said, it's already been through the planning commission, it's already been through the historic commission. Now it's up to the council to approve the variance.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? Any other questions?
Would it be possible to have someone from,
If they could, they were notified. I'm sure they were notified, but I don't think there's anybody here from that department.
could they possibly contact?
They can, I can get Tony to try to contact them tomorrow.
Thank you.
And have them here for the council meeting, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
And they work with us at the planning commission, the attorney that's
They
representing.
were, yes, sir.
And they would detail-
They were, so very difficult to get them here.
I had a card, so.
This will be all.
Okay, there you go. But yes, we can sure attempt to try to get them here, but again, it's up to you guys. So it's a conditional use, it's a variance for conditional use.
But Mayor, before we vote on it, I ask the question again, what is a switch? I mean, what is that?
It's a tower, I'm sorry, there you go, good question. It's a tower for you to get a better signal by their standards.
So an antenna.
Uh-huh, that's what it is.
Well, why did you put antenna?
Because it's called city switch.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, to
I
me,
hear
it
you.
sounds
I hear
like,
you.
I'm just,
Like
you
a big
know,
switch, you're gonna put the switch, right?
I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, I'm reading this, and at the same time, I'm trying to understand ahead of time before I get to the next word. It's
Yeah.
like, city switch, 298-2, what the hell is that? All right, so basically, they want to break an antenna.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, have the same right? Motion carried, okay. Simple. Okay, next, action item, acceptance of the dedication of West 17th Street and renaming of West 17th Street Extension, and authorizing the necessary patching and asphalt concrete overlay of the dedicated roads to be included in the existing citywide street improvement contract B, contract with Glenn Leger Construction LLC. This one offer?
I second.
Offered by Mr. Morton. Who's second?
I second.
Oh, you are? I'm sorry.
I second.
Andy and Ms. Kim.
Yeah. Well, it's normal whenever we take the place of the chair, that chair doesn't offer.
No.
So I just want to make that clear.
It's good.
People actually wonder why I'm not offering it. I am a substitute right now. We let the body offer it. Okay. Any discussions on it? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those have the same right? Motion carried. Okay, and, anything else to come before zoning and annexation? Oh, yeah, I got a question. One question. Tony is not here, neither one of the Tonys are here, right? Neither one of them? Okay, well, we had a situation where we got a call, and Barney probably got the same call from one of our constituents about, doing this, we're bringing in a trailer in the city of Crowley and doing the logistics of it and having all the signatures. I want to ask Tom if we can have something for us just to get an indication on that at our regular meeting. How does that work? Because from what I'm understanding, we have to get, they're saying it's required that all three sides of the property have to sign.
That is correct. You talking about a trailer?
Or anything, it have to be.
A mobile home is what you're referring to?
Well, whether it's a mobile home or even, well, let's say a bit, anything. Okay,
So let's use a mobile home, for example.
okay, right.
Yes, they have to have signatures, yes, sir.
All right, well, what's the concept? I mean, I've been here a minute, but I'm still not understanding. If you got every signature but one of the touching properties, why is it a problem?
Because it needs to be 100%.
Okay, is that, we do have that in the ordinance, correct?
Yes, sir.
I would like for the time if possible to bring that so that can be read
We can bring you a copy.
and have some discussion on it.
You want a copy of the mobile home ordinance?
The ordinance,
Okay,
right?
got it.
To see exactly if anything can be done. to try to-
I'll have it for you tomorrow.
Okay, with that being said, zoning and annexation committee, we're going to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Next is public safety, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. I call to order the Public Safety Committee. We have a quorum present with Stephen Primo absent. Before we begin, I would like to, I have two agenda amendments to make. The first is to move the discussion item titled Include Four-Way Stop Signs at Levy Park to an action item and amend as follows. To consider a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Crowley fixing a date for a public hearing to be held and to consider the inclusion of four-way stop signs at street intersections adjacent to Levy Park. And I so move.
Kim.
Second.
Mr. Chair.
Myself and seconded by Kim Stringfellow.
Okay, and get,
Any discussion?
a show of hands, please.
All in favor?
Mr. Brad. Okay, good, thank you.
It's unanimous. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. I have a
Second.
question, Mr. Court.
I'm sorry?
I have a question on your, your amendment.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of that resolution?
No, I do not have a copy of the resolution.
Okay, well, I would ask if you do not have a copy of that resolution, please, I would forego it for the either full council or the
Yes.
next meeting, because we cannot act on it at this point.
This is to recommend to the full council.
But you still can't act on it, Mr. Corr. You can't act on it because you have to have a resolution setting a date, so forth and so on, and we discussed this already. And then you can't, it's illegal, it's tolling, it's illegal, you cannot do that.
So how do we move to the full committee for full council?
Well, just like you and I discussed, we'll get Mr. Reagan to write up the resolution, and if he can in time for this next council meeting coming up, we'll try, but he is really on-boarded. But if not, I guarantee you, he'll have it ready for you for the next council meeting with the resolution.
With the resolution?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
If
you
I
want
may,
me to table this amendment?
Yes, sir, you have to, because you can't really vote on it at this point.
okay, we may not be able to vote on it, but you can bring it up for discussion.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
what I would advise you to do is go ahead and follow through with what you have right there. Instead of making it an action item, make it a discussion item.
It's already in discussion.
I'm just using the term.
Yes, sir.
In the legal means, you can't do action, you do discussion. I just use it as a cliche. But, I would leave it as it is, as a discussion, so that way it can be brought to the full body. And like you say, maybe something may come about and tell him, if he's not too busy for whatever, to get something in writing. But in the meantime, I would advise you to go ahead and try and get something from different cities. They might have something like that. I'm pretty sure they cover
We have,
it.
we have one, this council has already approved several of them, but we'll work on that. Well, thank you, Mayor, that'd be fine. So we'll just keep that as a discussion item. The second amendment, the amendment to the agenda would be to add as a discussion item, mid-year 2022 review of complaints regarding businesses with beer and liquor licenses. So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion seconded, discussion. Show of hands.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further discussion?
Oh, go ahead, Alderman Moore.
Now, are we still doing, I guess the chief would answer this, periodical checks on the different businesses?
Yes, sir, we are. And this is just statistics that we gained from it,
Right,
just so the council would be aware when it does come up for renewal,
right.
you know, kind of what we've had so
Well, I
far.
appreciate what we've gotten, by email, the, complaints and everything. So we're gonna get that every 3 months, 6 months?
Probably every quarter, I'm thinking,
This
correct?
this is just to amend the agenda, we're gonna go into it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
All in favor, and motion was unanimous. Okay. So now we'll move on to discussion items, which to include four-way stop signs at the corner of Levy Park. To give the committee an update, we previously discussed installing four-way stop signs at the 4th Street intersections of Levy Park. The results of the traffic study indicated that over 85% of motorists exceed the speed limit along East 3rd and East 4th Streets, adjacent to the park. Local residents addressed the committee requesting four-way stop signs in each corner of Levy Park, and a petition was signed by over 20 residents. Information regarding traffic calming devices was provided to the mayor, which he provided to the city attorney for review. Mr. Reagan concluded that the only devices having a modest chance of reducing speeds were an expensive series of speed bumps on many roundabouts. He also indicated that four-way stop signs increase the potential traffic accidents and have virtually no effect on speeding. I disagree, because there are four-way stop signs along North Avenue G at the intersections of East 3rd, 4th, and 5th Streets, and to my knowledge, there have been no complaints of speeding along this stretch of road or accidents caused due to the presence of four-way stop signs. In fact, this council approved four-way stop signs at the intersection of South Avenue H and Cedar Street. This has reduced traffic accidents and complaints of speeding in this area. Before the signs were installed, there were accidents, including a police unit, and several complaints of speeding. I, along with numerous constituents, on the four-way stop signs at Levy Park will reduce speeding by deterring motorists from using East Third and East Fourth Streets as through streets to avoid waiting for the traffic signal at Northeastern Avenue and Second Street. I believe they will enhance public safety at minimal cost until other forms of traffic calming devices can be funded and implemented. And Police Chief Broussard also agrees that four-way stops at Levy Park will provide a temporary solution to the problem. Chief, you want to confirm that chief statement?
Yes, I will confirm as a temporary solution.
Yes.
I'm still not in favor, I'm sorry, I'm still not in favor of four-way stops, but as a temporary, I'm okay with that, as long as we're still researching other methods, like, either the speed bumps or the turnaround, I mean, temporarily, and I don't know if Mr. Reagan's listening to this, he's probably pulling out the little hair he's got, because it's like temporary in, temporary out, but I'm just,
And again, I believe this will facilitate the need of the constituents. It will enhance public safety, and also it's the most least expensive route. I think even if we had to buy the signs, 8 of them will be $600 and something versus thousands of dollars in engineering and other costs to implement and install these other traffic calming devices.
Mr. Cool.
There.
Thank you, Chair. Chief, if I'm not mistaken, there was a study done already, correct?
yes, sir, there was.
Okay. So if this gets passed, of course, what I'm getting at is that we have to have a resolution, we have to have a public hearing, because it is ordinance, right? All right, so once we do that, so then it's going to be the city's responsibility to make sure that those signs are erected. So, once that gets passed, I'm just letting you know as far as the signs
Yes.
and the cost of it.
Yes.
After 30 days too.
Yes, that is correct. So there has to be a notification to you.
Right.
Yes, it's a process that will take
Yes.
several months to fully implement.
That's correct, so that's
Just wanna
why
get something
we're
done.
trying to get rolling, yes, sir. And Chief, if you're okay with that? So,
Temporarily, yes, ma'am.
so again, are you okay with Mr. Reagan contacting you if he has any questions? And
Sure.
are you okay with Mr. Reagan contacting you if he has any questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Hughes,
Thank you.
state your name and address.
Richard Hughes, 316 East 4th Street. I hear this resolution having to be written for you to be able to read off for it to become an action item. You've already done this. There's a resolution out there somewhere that was voted. It was approved by this committee and went to full council. So there shouldn't be anything that Mr. Reagan really has to write. It's already written.
Looking through it, I don't think so.
No, that's true. He has a point.
I don't know if it's true or not, but
It is true because.
I'm not saying it's not true, or it's true.
Wow.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, but we will look into it.
Yes, Mayor, because it was presented to the council and voted down.
Yeah.
I think that's what Mr. Hughes referred
Yes.
to.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it takes a brand new resolution
Change
to
the
go
date.
at that point.
Yeah, it's already
If
written.
it was voted down,
Change the date.
Change the date.
if it's voted down, and voted for, it's just like,
But the
But,
same
but,
resolution.
but the document itself, if that's in place and already written, then that
Oh,
can be
yes, sir.
ready for next Tuesday.
I understand what you're saying.
Right,
Yes.
but you were saying that the delay for Mr. Reagan would be, because he's very busy. It's already written, so it should be delayed.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes, appreciate it. Mr. Martin?
Listen, I remember voting before. So the resolution has been written, I know that for a fact. The question I have is, we've been talking about Levy Park, and Chief, I'm glad that you, even as temporarily, it's still a good thing. Because you're providing and basically giving the constituents in the area due process. They asked for it, and we on this council, because of the simple fact, we represent people. The question I have is this: it's on Levy Park, on 3rd Street and 4th Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is, Avenue,
That's me, I and J.
I and J.
J. Okay. Has the residents that lives on each one of the corners, have they objected to having it? Or have they had any input on it? The question was asked, knocking on the door,
we have a petition signed by 20 local residents, more than 20.
Okay, have there any no signs on
I don't know, I didn't do the petition.
it? Okay,
But we'll have a public hearing and certainly they will be notified.
all right, well, the
But
reason why,
anyone is not in favor.
right, I'm sorry, what's that?
I said for anyone that's not in favor, we certainly have a public
Yeah,
hearing.
right. The reason why I'm saying that, because if y'all remember, the statement that I had made about Navy Park. Navy Park is starting to be one of the city's, main attractions. If y'all remember last time we talked about that, I brought it up. We invest a lot of money in Navy Park, not only, barricades and police protection and what have you. And I think that park has more attention than any park in the city, internally, not out in parks, recreation parks. But we keep going around and we're not listening to the people. Now, I understand there's some pros and cons to everything, don't get me wrong, I understand that. But at the end of the day, the people should have a word and a choice to whether they want a four-way stop sign at their corner or not. Because believe it or not, I'm pretty sure they gave a lot of thought to it with the understanding that at one time people would pass and keep on going. And if they have things, I'm just using this as a cliche, I'm working about it, say, well, step out there and said, people are stopping and taking things out of people's yard. I'm not saying that. But now it gives a person a probable cause to stop, and all of a sudden you're looking on both sides, seeing what's what. Okay, I'm just saying that because I know we went to Hammond, and that was a discussion in Hammond where they had a subdivision, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the fact that they didn't want anybody stopping on that road to see what they got in their yard. Okay, but I was saying if you don't want anybody to see them, put it in their yard. But the reason why I'm saying is, I think we starting to beat a dead horse here. It serves two purposes as far as it, and I'll go on record and say it get my vote, regardless. If the people want it, it'll get my vote. You know, the people who love you saying, we don't want it, we don't need it along, well, then you got another problem. But you chair this committee. You live in this, on that area, correct?
Yes,
You see what's going on.
me and my family every day, because that's the route I take to work.
Right. And basically, when I leave from the banks, whatever, that's about I take here to 90. But we have our chief of police who just said the fact that the traffic study showed that it would help. And I agree with you. I mean, Bill was saying it gets to be a problem to take it away. But anytime you put something on a temporary mode, and this is where it is for city government, if you put a temporary mode on anything, that calls for litigation down the road. You should understand, Chief, I know you know where I'm headed. Okay? They put it there, and they wasn't sure that it should stay there now. It should be there. See what I'm saying? So now I'm hearing you using the term, and Chief using the term temporary, but I think we need to come with a solution on this. You know, so instead of saying temporary, say trial basis. Put it on a trial basis.
Or we could say an interim until a traffic calming device that can be installed.
I think you need to use trial basis. Because that clears you out the way of this. We can try.
We'll get Mr. Reagan to get it work, right? Mr. Bell?
We changed an ordinance, and the ordinance is going to read as what the action we're going to be doing. When any time a change is to be made, the change will be made per an ordinance. And that's going to be temporary. Temporary or interim doesn't have to play a part. We're just going to place four-way stop signs if the council so sees it to be done. If there's a change made afterward, there will be a change made in the ordinance after the fact. Chief, if you don't mind, has there ever been a four-way stop in any one of those?
Not to my recollection, Mr. Bell.
My next question is, has the Crowley Police Department ever done post-traffic studies when there is a change or when they imply install like speed limit? We've done several streets speed limit signs because people are going too fast, or stop signs, people don't stop. Have y'all gone back and checked, see? if
We have gone
worked?
to a couple of the places to do an after study, and I have to admit, you are correct. It has deterred some, 14th and 15th, I believe, some of the speed limits, and I think some of the signs need to be replaced, but once they were put up, it did do some deterrence. And I will say, my only issue with it is that four-way stops, in fact, Alderman, you may remember, a few years ago, there was I believe there was a company that came in, and one of their recommendations was we had too many
Yeah, that was.
four-way stops,
Yeah.
you know?
That's something 1900s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
well,
nothing's gonna be better than enforcement, right?
correct. And it's enforced because you'll hear in some of these statistics I'm about to do. But, you know, and considering the beauty of Levy Park as well, I think Mayor can sure agree that, you know, like the roundabouts would add to the beauty of Levy Park as well.
Anyway,
Yeah, anywhere.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I did get that response, and I think every other council member got that response from Mr. Reagan, am I correct? So what Mr. Reagan's point was, that he made to me, was that in that response that he did give you, was that he wanted to make sure, don't rush into something too fast, don't think too hasty, but we want it to be fair to everyone in the entire city of Crowley. There are many other parks, and there are many other constituents, and there are many other locations. So,
And I appreciate Mr. Reagan's response, however, no councilman has brought up this issue of another city park in Crowley, to my knowledge, nor have we had a petition signed or request from the public present. So, yes, you know, if we need them at all four parks, or all parks throughout the city, four-way stop signs, fine, but I think that the representatives of those wards need to voice their constituents' opinions, as I have from my constituents.
If I may,
Mr. Martin.
with all due respect to the fact of whether it's too fast or whatever terminology you use, we still have kids playing there every day. You know, the old saying in life is, if you're proactive, if something happens, you can say, well, they had a four-way stop sign right there, they ran their four-way stop sign. Okay? If they coming down that road doing 40 miles an hour and 50 miles an hour, and God forbid a kid or anyone's hit, okay, then how do you go about it with it then? Knowing for a fact that if I'm an attorney and I'm representing a client that kid or whatever got hit, first thing I'm gonna brought up, well, it was in front of the city council 5 times, and they didn't do anything. You know? So I'm saying, look, we're kicking it down the road, it's time to bring it to a head. Either we're gonna put the four-way stop signs up, and what makes this more dynamic than normal, I appreciate the fact what you just said. Nobody in my district came and said, we want a four-way stop sign, and I don't know about parks, but they did say we wanted one street away from the parks. If you go down Avenue A and Avenue B, when you get to A and, what's that, 3rd Street and Avenue A and B and 4th, hey, they asked for it. Okay? Who are we to tell them no? That's what I'm trying to make understand here. We keep using the same terminology, oh, we want to make sure that it's safe. But in the meantime, it's not safe. Nothing's being done. So why don't we quit playing the devil's advocate here, and let's just go ahead and if the people want it, give it to them. If it doesn't work out, guess what, Chief? It's out of your hands, it's out of our hands. We gave you what you wanted. Okay? Now, I know how the rest of the council feels, but I mean, it's time to, because basically we're not fighting right? We're fighting citizens that ask for it. So I just want to make clear with that, because it's not fair to the people. We represent the people. So let's do it. Thank you.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes, Mr. Martin, in reference to what you had mentioned, people in the neighborhood, if there's been any opposition, I was the one that walked around and did the petition.
Right.
And there was one negative response to that.
Well, you gave it good.
Secondly, Mr. Gravel, you had mentioned, asked the chief about any, traffic study being done after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, I had personally, even though I know it's not official, but I went over to 14th and 15th on Taylor, and of the 40 cars that I observed over an hour and a half period of time, only one blew through the stop sign, and that was the sheriff's car. You know, everyone else either came to a halt, and some of them rolled through very slowly. You know how it is with, you can get a traffic ticket for not complete coming to
California
complete
rule.
halt.
It's called a California
But
rule.
as far as surveys go, the surveys that I've heard are only isolated four-way stops. It's not a four-way stop and then another four-way stop. Okay, so we're not talking apples to apples on a lot of these surveys. But I can tell you that within the surveys, they have shown that people slow down 150 feet before the stop sign and are going slow or slowing down or just starting to slow, to speed up 150 feet past. So in Beatty Park, that's 300 feet long. If you're 150 feet below, before and 150 feet after, that's the whole length of Beatty Park, even if they slow down and don't come to a complete halt. So it makes all the sense in the world. But the surveys that I keep on hearing from everyone, it's not apples to apples. It's not two stop signs back to back 300 feet away from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Mr. Monso.
Chad Monso, 517 East 3rd Street. I am one of those neighbors. I think we're missing the point. We're talking about other parks and the people in this neighborhood. And most of the people in this neighborhood have lived there for many, many years and have never asked for stop signs. I know since I've been there the last 3 to 4 years, the traffic, foot traffic, pedestrian traffic, citizen traffic in the park has increased even since then. And the number of events in that park has increased. I think we're missing the point here. These stop signs are not for the neighborhood or the people who live in the neighborhood. These stop signs are being argued for or asked for to protect the citizens who come to that park from throughout the city. So these stop signs are really for people throughout this city who I know live in all areas of this city who come to that park. So it's not necessarily for that neighborhood. That neighborhood sees a need that so many residents actually use that park from throughout the city that those people are who need the extra security there to slow the traffic down. So don't look at it as just us who live in that neighborhood who want it. We want it for all the people who come from throughout the city to enjoy that park, actually.
Excellent point. Thank you, Mr. Monso. All right. I'm sorry, Chief, we passed up your report. If you would like to start yours, or I can finish up on the second discussion item. It's all yours if you want.
All right, thank you, Chairman. In the month of June, the Crowley Police Department responded to 810 calls for service. 343 TED tickets were written in the month of June, with 327 of those being speeding violations and 16 of those were other violations. In addition, 123 non-TED citations were written in the month of June. Actually, 48 of those were for not stopping the stop sign, by the way. With regards to staffing, we're still 5 down in patrol. Our investigations division has made 3 arrests one was a cold case, one was an attempted, or 2 were attempted homicides. And as a final note on my report, as of July 20th of this month, Captain Francis Wayne Perry will be retiring after many, 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 many years of service. So we want to officially congratulate him on behalf of the Crowley Police Department and the city of Crowley for all of his service.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Captain, for your service, if he's listening in. Mr. Bell.
Chief, on your test program, how often are they doing this? And on average, how many hours a month are they utilizing the program? And are you seeing, from a public safety standpoint, is any sort of problem? Because you read in the paper or hear in the news where, like, St. Martin Parish, whatever, when people go through there on I-10, there's drug bust, there's human traffic bust. What are we seeing, or what are your officers seeing when they work from a public safety standpoint on I-10?
Well, and of course, they, not all of them, you know, a lot of them, to do the traffic, to do the, like, the drugs and things, have to be certified, which we have some who are, and I know a couple of officers who do work the TED program, who are certified to do the search and seizures and things like that, and they do that when they're working it. But we have seen one thing, and I think one noticeable thing, we haven't seen a wreck on I-10, at least in our area, in quite a while. So that leads me to know that they're working it. We had 38 shifts of TED worked in the month of June. And normally they'll work it for a 5-hour period when they work it. At one time, or a couple of times, I will say this too, there were actually 2 officers, one eastbound, one westbound working. So and it has slowed down traffic. We see noticeable. I mean, of course, there's still people who still, you know, the number of 3,343 is still a lot, but it's noticeable by the amount of traffic accidents we're not seeing on our interstate. You know, I look at other communities where they've had all of these wrecks, and it's like, okay, we've got to be doing something, you know, because we haven't had that many wrecks.
Are you planning on utilizing it more now that the construction's coming this way to help alleviate some of the issues that?
I would like to, especially to assist the construction company, you know, maybe even have the guys out there at night, since I know the construction company works at night. That's my hope, because I know they're doing safety measures, which we're looking forward to with the steel railing. So, you know, we want to make it safe for them as well. So we definitely are looking into that and looking to possibly get the officers working a few night shifts to assist the construction company when they're working.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I know you're probably working on the budget now, and maybe if Chief, if you can get more details, Mr. Cavell, regarding citations, maybe so you can compute some revenues, in anticipation of the upcoming budget, maybe you may want to meet with Chief to, okay, great. Ms. Martin.
I just have to ask this question. Councilman Cavell,
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out what's your question. Are you insinuating that because the Acadia Parish doesn't have, what is it, human trafficking and all this other stuff that they're not doing their job? I mean, I'm trying to figure out why was that even brought up? Because I'm just going to let you know what it sounds like to me. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, but I asked the question to the Chief, he answered it.
Right.
So he understood the question.
Right, but I don't understand. So, I mean, if I'm the only one, excuse me, but I'm gonna ask the question. Okay, to me, it sounded like, well, they're finding all these people, you know, human drugs, smuggling or whatever, and y'all not. That's what it sounded like. I don't know if that's your intention, and I hope not.
No, it's like you
And
inferred
I'm
it,
not
and I
accusing
apologize.
you.
No, you may have inferred that, and I apologize, you know, if that was, it was not clear on my part. My question, I think Chief understood it correctly. The TEDS program is started, and there's a reason why I didn't ask what Mr. And mentioned, because it cannot be based on revenue. It cannot, once you bring revenue up, you have a quota system. So the TEDS program is based and worked around public safety. So I wanted to bring up the fact that has there been anything related to drugs, human trafficking? So to show that, and like he answered, no, that doesn't mean they're not doing their job. It's just that by having the sign that the people are being worked at. Just like I said about the four-way stop in Levy Park, there's nothing better than enforcement. You have a officer out there, a vehicle out there, people are gonna automatically slow down. You see the red lights going up when you're on the interstate.
Right.
And so that was my issue okay, so it is working from a public safety standpoint. So it is a good program.
Well, so we came to the same conclusion because it sounded like to me Chief had to really defend himself and saying, oh, by the way, we have stopped wrecks from being done. And I don't know if y'all felt the same way, but to me it looked like he had to come up with a solution to why there's no.
Well, that's also why I followed up with the potential working more when construction came.
I do understand now, but just to clarify, Chief, I think it's a good thing. The best thing in the world is for us to have officers out there and you don't write no tickets.
Exactly.
That'd be the best thing.
I would agree with you on that.
And then the next thing will happen, you know what he gonna say, Chief? Y'all not making no money, so we gotta pull you off. Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
That's what I'm on.
and I would say this, Councilman, to go even further, I would like a day where I'd be out of a job because we didn't have crime. You know, but we know, so but I agree with you. It really is, we see the benefits of it because we're not inundated with accidents, at least.
Yeah, well, I was just kind of cross, I just want to clear, no offense to anybody. I just got kind of confused with that because it didn't sound like I'm giving you praise. I want to know why we ain't doing the same thing that they're doing. So, well, thank you. Chief.
Thank you.
Anything else for Chief? And we'll move on to Fire Chief Louis Romero, who is still present. Thank you, Chief. And he will be giving his monthly fire department report.
Thank you, Mr. Court. I gave you all the monthly response report. For June, we ran 55 calls. Of those calls, 2 were structure fires, 1 extrication, 18 fire alarms, 1 vehicle accident, 10 EMS calls, 11 public assist. The public assist is smoke scares with all smoke testing we've been doing, the city's been doing. 2 vehicle fires, 9 hazmat calls, and 1 mutual aid call with District 11. Update the firehouse. I think you got a little bit more floor to put down, and then we're gonna have the punch list. I'm working on the punch list right now for EL habits to fix. Our gala is August 20th. We're working on that. So if y'all want to see the firehouse, the only thing we have left is to put floors in the hallway and pretty much start bringing appliances and stainless steel sinks and stuff like that. So it's just moving along. Any questions?
Regarding the punch list, will you be assisted by the architect in doing that? Will the architect be present to check the punch list? How is that?
That I don't know. I have not talked to Mr.
Sorry, contractor.
Contractor.
No.
I was referring to the architect going to be involved with the punch list?
You okay without being involved in the punch list with the contractor, let the contractor be able to go through the punch list and to do those things, and then we'll get the architect to be able to complete it.
Thank you.
Chair. All right.
Ms. Clark.
Mr. Mayor, I gotta totally disagree with you with that. You designed the punch list. You walk through that building, if you see anything that you have questions about, you write down. All right, I'm just saying, you asked, the question was asked, who does it? Normally, the person that has the final say. And you being the chief, you ought to know what's going on at the building, correct?
I've got 4 or 5 items on the punch list right now.
Well, that's what I'm
Just
saying.
letting them finish and, because the floor in the hallway is not complete.
Right, but I just
So-
want to make clear, and I guess being in this business, never let the contractor make the punch list, but because he's gonna give you a 0 punch list.
Well,
No, that's, Mr. Court, that was not my intention.
Well,
That
I'm
was
just
not
saying,
my
that.
comment.
Well, okay,
I
well, say
meant
what you
is
mean
that
now.
The chief and I are gonna walk through the department, he's gonna do the punch list. The contractor is going to be with us so he can see what is on the punch list, so he can complete his punch list. And then the architect, and Mr. Court's question is being answered, the architect will complete the project. I guess, I can't make it no clearer.
Complete the punch list and
The projects, because the punch lists are gonna have already been done by the contractor.
The contract's completed the construction, the architect did the plan and specifications.
Yes, sir.
This is pretty clear.
Yes, sir.
I don't know who.
Mr. Craig?
Okay.
Yes, sir, Chief, I know they did a lot of insulating, and that there were some concerns before about the west side of that building, where that office was. I think your office maybe is gonna be where they did some work. So do you feel like the air conditioning, I mean, it's been hot enough, you should be able to know now, is the air conditioning gonna be adequate, or is that something we're gonna have to address?
4 of the outside units have been replaced.
Yeah, that's me.
The inside, I think there was, I was able to take it out of my budget. So, we replaced all 4 units. The inside calls were removed and dipped in some kind of acid. And then everything was salted back, and we're trying to find filters. The problem is the size, 24 by 24. Everything's on back order. So I'm trying to find filters to be able to be able to keep the air conditioner free of dust and all that. But we do have room there.
That's good.
Any other questions for Chief?
Thank
I
you.
also want to compliment you on your response time of under 3 minutes. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you and your officers. Okay, now we'll move to City Inspector Tony Duhon, who is not present. However, he did email myself and other council members his report, which I'll read. No report from Animal Control. Corey Barso is on vacation. Permits issued. 1 commercial alteration, 2 signs, 3 demolitions, 33 electrical, 1 fence, 20 gas, 8 mechanical, 12 plumbing, 1 swimming pool, 3 repair, and 10 new home permits. Code enforcement violations are attached for review, 5 trash rubble, 16 uninhabitable structures, and 55 tall grass and weeds, with 20 houses demoed since January 2022. Planning and zoning is reviewing 2 future projects. Contact us if any further information is needed. Respectfully submitted, Tony Duhon. And final item on our agenda discussion, mid-year 2022 review of complaints regarding businesses with beer and liquor permits. Captain Mallett of the Police Department provided the committee with copies of calls for service for all businesses holding liquor licenses. I'm pleased to inform there have only been 3 alcohol-related complaints from January 1 through January 29, 2022. And these were at separate locations, basically 1 each of the 3 total locations. Also want to commend the police department for their efforts to decrease the number of open container violations throughout the city. Any other matters to come before the committee? Committee recesses.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Next is public buildings. Mr. Willard.
Public Buildings Committee, we got a form. Before I start, I'd like to amend the Public Buildings Committee with a discussion on the handicap sidewalk for the police building right here. A couple of people called me and wanted an update on it, that's why. I think it was offered by me, something by Councilman Fred.
Show of hands.
Show of hands.
Okay, thank you.
It's unanimous. So, any discussions on that right now? Or are we gonna go to read number one? I'm gonna read number one, but I have to sustain myself with that tonight. To consider a resolution for assistance agents to renew the lease contract.
Let the record reflect, please, that Mr. Woodward is refusing himself of this role.
I'll make a motion. It's offered by me and second by.
No, sir.
I'll offer.
Offered by Mr. Crowley, seconded by Mr. Stringfellow.
Show of hands, say again.
Discussion?
Any discussion on that item? Mrs. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Chair. Is it the same, everything's going to stay the same?
Will increase.
It's just a renewal.
Jeff first.
Mr. Bell?
Yeah, I know it's just renewing, just a matter, I just want, it's necessary to bring up front. We roughly spend $30,000 a year just to operate utilities, alarm, dumpster, and security at the enterprise building. So the $2250 that we get from the assistant revenue is $27,000. Again, it's just numbers. I'm not making a decision, not drawing any conclusion. I just feel it should be out there for people to know.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just throwing this out there, Chief, to you especially. As, you know, you're constrained with space and your building is pretty deteriorated and, you know, a lot of upkeep. And I would ask that you consider moving your operation to the Enterprise Center. You have just all the room that you would need. You have plenty of storage. You have everything you need over there. And just something that I would think that you would maybe want to consider. I don't know if you've seen, especially the workforce side of it. It's very, very nice. It's updated, and you know, we're losing money on that building anyway. So why would we want to keep losing money on that one and keep spending money on this one when maybe you and your officers would be a whole lot more comfortable over there? So just something to consider, just throwing it out there before we, you know, this agency's on one side, and I think the other side would be something that you could maybe utilize for you and your officers and be a whole lot better.
Mr. Martin?
Okay, Jeff, I want to make a comment on something. Don't get me wrong, it's not nothing thrown at anybody, but I just want to make a comment. When that building was put together, when we first bought that building, we built that building as an incubator, okay? I don't know if y'all familiar with an incubator is, where we take mom and pop, the vision was to take mom and pop businesses, cakes, pies, or whatever it may be, give them a place where they can have an office, space to work. We had thought about having individual boxes through square footage. And at that time, Mr. Smith, which was the executive director at the time, we were placed in the Rice Hotel. I don't know if y'all remember that, across from Ginsburg, for those of you who've been here a minute. And one of the reasons for us going over there was the fact that it would encompass first, second, and third floor. Eventually built up, turned into a mega building, what have you. But it didn't turn out that way. And had it not been for the assist agents at the time I was working there, that building would have collapsed a long time ago. It's the anchor of the Enterprise Center, as we call it. And you say it's close to $30,000 that we lose, but it's close to over $27,000 that's being paid by just one entity. We have other entities over there. You have Smile, you have I believe Smile is over there. Smile, you have, the one time, the unemployment office here,
Yes.
workforce development. Because at one time, everybody was there. You had, Chamber was there, that fact, they ran the building. You had the unemployment office, you had, work study, you had about 6 or 7 different, you even had taxes, believe it or not, that went through that building. So, I'm just trying to put out there, it sounded like, okay, well, utilities going up, we gotta raise it. You gotta think for the fact what the assist agency does. The programs that it brings through is there to help let's say, well, I won't say underprivileged, I just say help people in need. Okay? Sometimes you have to give up the rope just to make sure you have enough. So I don't know if you insinuate that we should raise the rent or what have you, because I can tell you right now, the rent is locked in by state statute, which is CDBG, Community Action, the grant fund. But I just want to make it clear that I'm pretty sure they can do anyway, you know, but they like being where they're at. And they've been very patient, I have to say, and Byron, I tell you, before Byron got here, I forgot who was in charge of public buildings at the time, but hey, man, that building was fell apart so many times, it's unreal. Any other tenant would move out there on town, though. You go there, you have, you've been inside the building, you know what I'm talking about. You got mixed night, town, you have ceilings that are leaking, when it rains on the roof, it rains inside their building. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we're not giving them a handout, we're giving them a leg up to say, keep doing what you're doing. So I'm hoping that there's not a situation that we should raise the rent. That's all I want to bring.
Mr. Mayor?
First off, I said, you make any conclusion you want from the stat data I gave you, so you infer the information,
Right.
and make insinuation. But since you brought up the fact, yes, it is a dilapidated building, it's getting worse, and we're not even covering costs, even just like one tenant. So therefore, there's no money being earned in order to even put in whatever improvements would be necessary. They're not paying anything to have anything fixed.
Well, yeah, come on, Jeff.
The-
When you
the-
pay rent, I mean, hold on.
Wait, no.
Go ahead, finish.
If you are, you're a tenant, if you have a tenant in one of your houses, and it's costing you $1,000 in cost, and that tenant's only paying you $800, what are you pocketing to fix up that building?
When you finish, I'm gonna tell you exactly what just came out of your mouth that offended me. So are you finished right now? You have a chance to rebut?
There's no offense, I'm not trying to offend you, I'm just asking in that this was a situation where we should be looking at the raw numbers. I'm not trying to, there's no argument, that's why I said from the beginning, this is just data I think you should have at your access to make that informed decision.
Yeah, okay. Are you finished? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The opinion that you just gave, I catch offense with the fact that you just said that on the rental side, there's a rental's right. Everybody's familiar with the rental's right. Okay? They have a right to be safe, they have a right to, well, the main thing is being safe. They're not asking to go put LCD televisions in every hallway. You're not asking to put ceramic tile, in the bathrooms or what have you. Only thing they're asking is that it's safe. And for the city to initially, if anything is being done to increase the rent, I look at that as being turning its back on the people that brought you here. Okay? Now, the example that you gave about rent, well, first of all, that's up to that renter to be that. If that renter, that's simply paying $800 a month, and it's raining when they walk into the house, it's up to them to move. Okay? They could, and I made the statement a few minutes ago, they could move anywhere they want. I'm pretty sure there'd be people that'd be happy to have them as a tenant. But I can honestly tell you that building was designed with the assist agency in mind. We sat there, and Mr. Smith at the time, our executive director and myself, every inch that the assist agency got on the rental contract was designed by us. Everything that we asked for was given, everything. So I think them for being there all these years, knowing that the neglect of the building, I mean, remember, if y'all remember when the roof came off, we were out of work out of a building for 3 months. But yet, once the roof came back on, we came right back. I used the term we. No? And I'm not talking about recently, this happened years ago, I think it was Hurricane Phoenix or whatever it was, I forgot the hurricane name. But anyway, before we do anything to imply that, well, they should be paying more rent because we're losing money. Don't look at it that way, because when we were making money, they were there. The city was pocketing money. So now that we need a little money to keep the building afloat, let's not say, well, let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm finished. I'm just trying to figure this out.
There's a motion on the floor. Yes, sir. Everybody vote for that. There's only 3 of y'all. Without just saying so.
Motion. The motion on the floor was to consider the resolution for assist agency, and so we just need a vote.
Aye.
Nays, you have the same right? So, ayes, 1.
Point of order. Chair, point of order.
And
Are y'all voting on the contract that's
yes.
Yes.
as
Still
the
moving
numbers?
Send it to full council.
It's just in the full council, the resolution that's on the very back of that.
And by the way, that $8.64, whatever, that's state max for square footage. So just want to let you know, the state will not pay any more than that for square footage.
You have to vote.
Yeah. The next thing up is, the discussion item. I got a couple of calls from citizens wondering about the handicap platform. If there's any update on it or, I mean, I know the last time we talked, some request was to get it out of the police department budget. I don't agree with that, because it's a public building, the city owned it. And I think if y'all can work together to come to some kind of agreement to get this done. That's just my opinion. Ms. Mary?
Yes, sir. My hand was up just to simply say that I think the last time there was a discussion that somebody was coming up with a set of plans. I want to say that maybe engineering had something, but they can't. They're not certified to be able to do that. You have to get an architect.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know if the chief got an architect or whatever, just to get a price at this time. That's all it is.
Well, and my thing was, I was told that Mr. Nader had someone who was supposed to draw up plans. That was my understanding.
Not familiar. They did have somebody, they did draw up something, but Mr. Nader made it clear that he cannot do that because it's for the city. He's not an architect.
Richard Hughes, 316 East Fourth. The exact discussion was that Mr. Mayor can't do it. We were informed, I'm representing, Crowley, accessibility support for the handicap, AKA cash. So, Mr. Mayor, you had mentioned that you had submitted something to the fire marshal, but it couldn't have been submitted because Mr. Mayor was not capable of writing the plans up for this kind of thing. We needed an architect. So you and I, you were going to give me a call the following day or a couple days later or whatever to get together with the architect so I can walk him off over here and show him exactly what we're proposing to do. And that's the only reason why I'm here right now, to find out what's going on.
Okay.
So have you contacted the architect?
No, sir. I'm waiting on a call back from the fire marshal's office. Well, our marshal came and inspected your office downstairs.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
Correct. and he asked me to submit something, and I submitted the only thing that I had, was that particular plan. And I think you're familiar with it.
Well, it's not a plan that can be submitted to the fire marshal. We're looking for a set of plans from an architect to be able to submit to the fire marshal to get approval from him so we can go out for bid. We already have an estimate from Habits and, Habits, and so we're at a standstill right now until we get an architectural drawing and a set of plans so we can submit them to get exact prices.
Chief, would you get with me tomorrow, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
And so, yes, sorry.
Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, we've got a set of drawings that the Mater firm put together.
No, but I mean by an architect who is specifying.
No, the city has an architect they use.
That's why I was gonna get with you.
Oh, right, and that was what was supposed to happen in the past month, but it hasn't happened. But we just want an update so we can get the ball rolling, keep it going without a time. So when do you think we can get together with the architect?
I'm gonna talk to Chief tomorrow, and then we'll see when that could be available.
Okay, so I'm not clear as to why we have to talk to the chief.
Because it's his department.
Okay. Well, so when will we hear something back? You're going to speak with him
Yes, sir.
tomorrow?
I'm gonna speak with him tomorrow, then we're gonna discuss it, and then I'm gonna get with an architect.
Okay. So, but the thing is that if you're going to get with an architect, I should probably be involved in it. Cash should probably be involved in it because we spent a lot of time getting this design together and explaining to him what was
And
being proposed.
we could possibly do that, yes, sir.
Okay, so,
Let me get the first, let me have the meeting with Chief tomorrow.
okay. All right, so, once again, you will be calling me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'll be the fourth time I've been told I'm going to be called about different things and I don't get called, so I'm just trying to get this thing nailed down, that's all. I'm not trying to be a rude or anything.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Martin.
Mr. Hughes, Mr. Hughes, come back up, please.
Yes.
Okay, once again, I mentioned newspaper ads, simple ad, RFP, request for proposal, handicap ramp, City Hall. Qualifications have to be an architect or whatever it may be. Fact of the matter is, you depend on someone to call, but you put it inside, once again, advertising, if someone call, they'll probably call you. Don't you agree?
I don't have the authorization to call anybody.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Our
No,
organization is
we
just
talk, wait, I'm not asking you to do it. It's been requested, and I think that we had talked about this a while back, about this handicap ramp, right? To the fact that somebody said that he has somebody on staff that's handicapped, well, he knows about handicap. Didn't you meet with one?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor has an ADA certified engineer on the staff, right? But he's not capable of already drawing the plans up for this because, so
But
it
you're
has to
still
go
not,
to an
you're still
architect.
not getting what I'm saying. We done talked about this. And every time we turn around, it's brought back to the council. You'd be surprised how many people watching this tells me, man, y'all always talk about the same thing. I know y'all get, I know they tell y'all, but we don't watch anymore, but we know what y'all are talking about. Look.
You're preaching to the choir on that.
Well, but what I'm trying to say is this, if you advertise, they will come. Once again, you need an architect to do the drawings and whatever, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and Tim not taking anything away from you, we're doing whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you wait on one architect to get back with you, and I'm not saying that he's too busy or she's too busy, but the fact of the matter, if you put it in the review, which every elected official, well, show of hand, how many of y'all get the review? Everybody gets from the LMA, the review? Okay, put it in the review. We need an architect.
Mr. Martin, I don't believe it's gotten to the point of an architect even being asked.
Well,
and I know the city has an architect that they use. All we have to do is ask them. That's all.
But apparently, it ain't being done.
I can't do anything about that.
Well, we can't do anything about it because it's ministry. But at the end of the day, the old saying is, we got an architect out there, I know we got one that might want to put an RFP together out there. We got any architects in the audience? I'm just asking, you never know.
I think they're asleep.
Huh?
They're asleep.
But anyway, look, the only way we're gonna get things done over here, man, look, this election year is coming up, a lot of us gonna be busy doing that and the other. At the end of the day, I thought that this was discussed and agreed upon, that the only thing that we were waiting on, God forbid, and I'm gonna say, thank God, don't let it turn out to be an MLK bathroom situation.
I'm sorry.
Don't let it turn out to be an MLK bathroom situation. Because I want to talk about that, because I am not satisfied with what's over there right now, but anyway, we'll talk about that again. But at the end of the day, do the city have to hire an architect? Would it be cheaper for the city? I mean, it's something we need to talk about. To have architect on staff, is it cheap?
No, sir.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know.
No, sir.
Well, apparently we can get one day working for everybody else, I guess, because we can't get one here. Maybe they work for us, maybe we can turn them down. But, look, you're talking about handicap. There's a lot of people that wants to be and can't be here because of that. So, I mean, it's time to quit kicking the can down the road. Your request is that we get an architect. The council's already approved whatever it takes to get things started, correct? We done approved that, right?
There was no action item on this, it's a matter of,
I'm talking about doing
safety
discussion.
right.
Right. And this is something that the building, because the last time we done a ramp over here, it's in front of the police department. That's the last time we done a ramp.
Well,
And I was on the council at the time when we done that.
the one thing that we are concerned about, in this group of cash, they're pretty tenacious, okay? But the one thing they're really concerned about right now is there is an actual formal complaint put into the Department of Justice about this building. And it was put in last August. And that's when it came to our attention of how important it was to jump on this as quickly as possible before the Department of Justice starts, giving the city a hard time, let alone the safety for handicapped people. And so that's where we stand right now, and you're right, kicking the can down the road, just, not acting upon it right away doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. It's not prudent, but there's only so much our organization can do without the help of the city.
Did anybody else know about a complaint filed against the city?
Yes.
And yet we do nothing.
I'm sorry.
I said, and yet we do nothing.
I'm doing a lot.
Well, I know, what I'm saying is pretty soon this gonna come to court. And the first thing I'm pretty sure the judge will ask, was it remedied? No. Okay, sorry, Charlie. City of Crowley Live.
There is a big liability with this. We're sitting on a big liability right here, right now, because we're not in compliance with the federal government. But that's why we're bringing it to everyone's attention for that reason. Plus also,
I for one did not know that we had a filing against us. I thought this was just something that we had talked about doing.
No, I had mentioned at one meeting before, but maybe you were absent.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So I would suggest, we have one probably preeminent contractor in Crowley, E.L. Habits, and they did the library, and they did a fantastic job there. If you go to the library and see the ramp that they put there, I would suggest that we discuss it with him and see what his.
I already did that with Mr. Habits. Okay. And Mr. Habits submitted a preliminary price, but he would not commit to that price until a set of plans was approved by the fire marshal. So last meeting we went to, I brought that information in, and it was left to be handed over to an architect, so Mr. Habits can go ahead and nail this thing down there.
Who has the money? Who has the money?
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know how all this got started. I know we've been talking about it for a long time. Fire Marshal's office got in touch with me saying that there was a complaint that was filed. So he came and made his investigation. There wasn't a problem with the city, there's a problem with the door that was blocked off. There's a problem with the door that's blocked off. And has it gotten addressed? That I don't know.
Which door?
Oh, you're talking about the police department, I know exactly what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on, wait.
No, I'm just telling you that, okay, what can we do? So I submitted that plan that Mr. Meter's ADA department did, and we tried to use that. I say try to use that.
It's
as-
just a drawing. It's
I
just-
understand that, and that's what I had at the time, and I have not heard back from the fire marshal's office.
Well,
Since I-
how could you hear back from something, I mean, how do they approve something that isn't, I mean,
Well, it's not the fact that they didn't approve it or not, I'm just waiting to hear back what the end result is.
result, what are you expecting a result from?
From
that drawing?
No, sir, from the complaint.
From the
Complaint.
Yes.
Well, the complaint that I was referring to was the Department of Justice, not the fire.
I understand that, and the fire marshal's office explained that to me as well. So, I agree with Mr. Crater. I think that you already spoke to Mr. Abbott, am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, very professional, very, I mean, right on top of it.
Great, I will call him tomorrow to see what he has, and then I'll get with the chief as well, and we try to come up with some kind of resolution, sometime.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm talking about the MLK.
Cash, thanks you.
Any more discussion on public business?
I just,
Go ahead.
the MLK, how many of y'all going out to see bathrooms at the MLK? Yeah? Mayor?
Before you start, go ahead, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead. Mr.
Yeah, I just have a couple
Go
of
ahead,
questions.
sure, go ahead.
How much was the grant for the MLK bathroom?
It was separated into 3 different sections, but
Wait, coming in?
it was separated into 3 different sections, and Mr. Stefanski got for that bathroom.
Yeah, but all three, give me a total on the bathroom.
The total amount of the grant was $150,000.
Okay,
He
how-
said, whatever the bathroom cost, to spend that much money, and to spend a percentage with the police department, and a percentage with Parks and Recreation. And that's what I did.
Okay, when it came to get the grant, did anybody else know it was being broken down? Anybody?
I think I remember.
It was on there. It was given way back when.
It was a while back.
Yes.
On the MLK bathroom, how much has been spent of just ballpark?
And there's no ballpark, there, it is complete, $117,000.
$117,000.
Yes, sir.
And that's the product we got for $117,000.
Sir,
That's the product that we got for $117,000.
that is correct. We had the drawings, it was signed off, it went through facility and planning in Baton Rouge, contractor agreed to it and did the job.
How much was spent on architect?
That I can't answer, but I could get that for you more.
How about the engineer?
No, there's no engineer involved in, it's an architect.
I'm just one place. Well, I can tell you right now, we having a lot of complaints about the way the bathroom is where the entrance is. Okay. What can we do to remedy that? Because you're walking off a space where people are going to be cooking, eating, or what have you, into a restaurant facility. You can see it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
next to the building.
Right.
And
If I would have had a call, and I don't know if Byron got it or not, but I'm speaking to myself. If I would have got a call, come on out, we're doing a groundbreaking or whatever, which I can understand, things are happening. And looking at the plans, I would never agree to where it is right now. I was out of town for a little over a week and a half. When I came back, the foundation was forward. Said, okay, well, I'll look at it and see it as it goes up. Then leave again, come back, the bricks are up. And you and I we had a conversation about that, Vic, about the entrance to the bathrooms not being in the vicinity where when you raise up your pit and open up the bathroom door, you can't tell which is which. And I'm not trying to be funny here, I'm being serious. Okay? Never. And I've been traveling, I've been to places, I've been in 7 different countries. Listen, let me tell you something here. I've never walked off and even taken into a bathroom. Okay? That's just me. There's no ventilation in it. Will there be electrical vents? And even if you do electrical vents, you're still bringing it out and spreading it around. I'm talking about the smell. When we originally talked about that bathroom, it was supposed to go in the back of the MLK Center, with the understanding that we would concrete leading from the pavilion to go around. Even thought about using the back door of the center. How many of y'all know there's a back door going around the side? So that way, guess what'll happen every day? Somebody will clean that bathroom. They have to come outside to clean it. That's their job. It's part of, quote unquote, the building. The way it is right now, who's going to clean that? Let's say when everybody leaves on Friday, you have activities Saturday and Sunday. And Lord forbid, y'all know where I'm going with this. I'm not trying to be out of play here. But it's ironic, because that's the question I'm asking. Will there be someone there, I'm asking you, Peter would be here, I would ask him as well. Will there be someone to monitor the bathroom to make sure that that's clean?
I'm assuming, yes, sir.
You assume?
Can ask Peter, but he's in charge of the MLK Center, and I'm sure he would assign people to monitor that bathroom.
Well, see, to me, that should have been one of the first things talked about when you designed the building. Somebody should have some type of indication, okay, well, we're going to do this right here. We're going to come in every 30 minutes or every hour to whatever it may be to make sure that there's tissue paper in it and everything is working in order. If you don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, to be quite honest with you, it's going to be more of a headache than you would just have it for the lips out there. If y'all get a chance, you'll go to the bathroom and see what I'm talking about. You leave straight from the pavilion into the restroom. And you know what happened with methane gas, what have you, it flows slow. It is what it is. Everybody like barbecue pits. Not trying to be funny, but it is what it is. So, Mayor, I just want to say, I don't know how much money was spent. You saying $117,000, we had $150,000. This is one time, it wouldn't hurt to put the whole $150,000, what have you, into something that was promised years ago. And to be quite honest with you, before we even got that grant, we had allocated the money for it. Am I correct? The money was allocated. And all the time the same thing. Wait on the architect. Well, the case being what it is, and the knowledge that I have over the system, I don't know too many architects that build bathrooms. You know? Then we had a problem with the sewage. When I heard that, I almost flew backwards. And I was trying to figure out how they run that sewer line. And they wind up cutting across Hudson, you know what I'm saying? Cutting across Hudson. They hadn't put it over on Hudson yet, I hope not. Have they gotten Hudson?
They board under.
Well, either way, though, I mean, I'm just saying. To say that you had someone that's supposed to have, quote unquote, the knowledge to make this thing happen. I'm talking about the bathroom. You come back later and say, oh, by the way, man, you flush, it ain't going nowhere. We got to put a whole, look, man, with all due respect to everybody, the citizens of West Crowley was not handing fair shake on this. Oh, no, I won't say West Crowley, the citizens of Crowley, because everybody uses that percent. It's not designated just for West Crowley, just like Rice Trust Bill is not dedicated to South Crowley. So listen, I don't know what we're gonna do to correct. I got an idea, and I'm just gonna put this up for, future discussion, hopefully real quick. We either gonna have to take that pavilion, cut it away, or you leave it like it is, but add on to it. And put maybe it's a section of wall, maybe 10, 15 feet in front, add it, you understand? You gotta just get an idea what I'm talking about, very simple. Where the building at, and excuse my drawing, it's not the best, but where it is right now, this is the bathroom right here. We put some type of wall between right here. We put the entrance to it on the north and south side. Make sense to everybody? So, we had allocated so much money for it in the past, it didn't come to fruition, we wind up, and thank God for Representative Stefanski. Because, I don't know if y'all knew it or not, I had, certain person called me, they was gonna take care of the whole bathroom. You know, they was gonna build it. The man would never take, we gonna build it, because y'all need it. So what I'm asking right now, man, I don't feel that the amount of money that was spent, we got a true deal. That's just me. I don't know how y'all feel about it. But it's nothing but concrete, PVC pipe, commodes, and cylinder blocks. You understand what I'm saying? But yet it's $117,000. That's just me.
The mayor first.
All right, I don't think I'll take as long as that, but I just want to remind you, Mr. Martin, and I apologize, Mr. Wood, if I put you on the spot. Way back whenever we were, Mr. Martin, Mr. Woodridge, the engineer came out there a couple times to assist us. And Mr. Woodridge, you even came out there not once but twice. Where was Mr. Martin? He was not there. He said he had to hurry up and go somewhere. Asked him again, didn't show up again. And at one point, we had the preliminary drawings. Am I correct? I even gave you a copy, right? Okay. Had the preliminary drawings of his bathroom. I even gave him one, said we don't need no damn plan, we need a damn bathroom. That was your exact words. And so we commenced to build the bathroom. And I said, no, I want to get your signature. He said, you don't need my signature to build the damn bathrooms. So we proceeded to build the bathroom after the council agreed to the preliminary drawings that we had. And now that's what we got from those preliminary drawings, which you didn't come out there, you didn't get involved, you didn't even get involved in the preliminary drawings. So you're going to sit up there and tell me that I need to do this and I need to do that. And you had every chance to be involved, and you did not. And am I wrong or am I right, sir?
Okay, now.
No, I answer my question, am I wrong, am I
Well, you
right?
100% wrong.
Okay,
Because,
I don't think so, but anyway,
well, I mean,
I allowed you to
I
finish, I allowed you to finish, but you allowed you to finish. So, Mr. Woodridge came out there, thank you, Mr. Woodridge, for being involved, appreciate it. And it was something that was been needing, you're right, Mr. Martin, for a long time. And thank God for Mr. Johnson, Representative Johnson Stefanski, and being able to get this money for us. And we had it built. Now, if you think that you're going to get something a little bit more elaborate for $117,000, I know you're in construction, and I know you have to know the price of materials today, and the price of labor. You have to know. So whenever we first started that job, and we got an estimate on it, it was right at about $96,000. Now it's $117,000. So if we probably do anything else, it would probably end up costing, like you're saying, all of the $150,000. But you know what? I did what Representative Stefanski asked me to do. I so graciously gave him my word, and it was stipulated on the grant. I gave so many thousands of dollars to the police chief just a few weeks ago, and gave him to buy every single police officer a vest. Correct? Do you know about that?
No, I didn't know
Okay,
about
all right.
that. But that
And then at Parks and Recreation, that the remainder of the money that Representative Stefanski wanted me to spend, and I gave it to Parks and Recreation, and they spent it.
On what?
Sir,
On what?
on parks and recreation equipment. So that was asked from Representative Stefanski, and that's what I did. So
Okay.
that's the conclusion.
Okay, now, Chair. Now let me clear up exactly how it went down. When we first talked about the bathroom, if y'all remember, I used the term the back door. Y'all think about it. Coming out that back door. If y'all remember, I used the term, you know, walk out the back door, keep it, whatever. There's no back door where that bathroom is at. There's only two back doors at the MLK. One is on the west side and one is on the east side. I work, my job takes me all over. Okay? I just can't be here, there, and the other. This is your chair of public buildings. I don't need to be babysitting because I know he knows what he's doing. But if you didn't tell him, oh, by the way, me and Steph had talked about coming from that side, I'm pretty sure you done what you saw. You saw it and said, okay, let's get the bill. Only thing, because we spoke, and what I told you about whatever you decide, that's fine. You check. So don't come here telling me, because I got witnesses here, that I use the term the back door will be egress and ingress to the bathrooms. You only have one. So I don't know where you come with this, and I want to make sure that I clear myself with this. Okay? I don't believe in overstepping boundaries, but at the end of the day, I have to say that we had discussed this, yeah? We had discussed it, and the fact of the matter is that $150,000, that was money for nothing and checks for free. When it came down to getting the bathroom fixed, because we had already allocated the money for it. We could have took that whole $150,000, gave it to the police department for a dollars percent, because the money was already allocated by the city of Crowley. We didn't have to go to Baton Rouge to get it because we already had allocated. And every time we talked about it, it was always the same damn thing. Oh, I got to get an engineer, I got to get an architect. Come on, man. Same thing now we find out that we're being sued by the Department of Justice for handicap, not being a handicap accessible. Yeah, the fact of the matter is, no, don't throw it on my shoulders. Because we had talked about it, and I'm glad that everybody remember I used that determination and that dedicated back door as ingress and egress to make sure that that bathroom stays. If y'all remember the term, yeah, if it's cold outside, open up that back door and heat it up. If it's hot outside, you got enough AC pushing, it'll cool it off. So, don't do that. Don't put me in that mode, Greg, because I really object to it, and I feel, this is my opinion, but I've been getting so many phone calls about it, right? After the fact. By the time I got out there and seen what the foundation was for, they brought the bricks. Too late to go back, what I was supposed to go with a sledgehammer and the show, okay? Wondered about the bill. So the only thing I'm asking right now, let's go back to the money that we had allocated from the city general fund. I believe it was from the general fund. To just try and remedy what's there now. I'm not asking to tear everything down. I'm just saying give everybody a chance to go out there and have fun and not have to breathe the chemicals that are associated with a bathroom. That's all I'm asking. Okay, if we can find the money, we in the budget, about to do the budget. I brought up something, and it must have went through one ear and out the other. You know, I know we've been talking a lot and whatever. When I brought up the fact that city buildings need to have their own funding source. Y'all remember me talking about that, right? Take public buildings, which is an entity on its own. Chief should not have come out of his budget to fix the window at his place. I'm talking about the fire chief or the police chief. Okay? Shouldn't have to come out of his budget to put a handicap ramp or get an architect. That shouldn't come out of your budget. We should have an isolated, independent budget that's there to do one thing, and that is to take care of public buildings. If you take away 5% from each department, whatever it may be, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And if we had that kind of money, guess what? That building where the assistants at right now, it wouldn't be so deployed. Because it would help its own. Take the money that the assist agency and every other agency that's in that building is given, take it from whatever we do. It's time that we become self-sufficient here. Because the only other thing I can see is that we put a line item in every last one of y'all budgets, the department head budget, and that's what that line item be for. Maintenance.
It's already there.
Well, apparently it's not enough. Okay? So if it's already there, that means that we need to either increase it or make it plausible to the needs. Because it's a lot easier to go and change out windows at the assist agency than just to go up here and change windows up here. That's all I'm saying to me. All this predicate down to the MLK bathroom. That's all I'm asking. Is that we come up with some type of solution to really what's what. And I would ask this council to, and Mr. Chair, come up with whether it's a hand drawing or some type of plan that we enlarge the pavilion, bring it out to the east, bring it out, and if it's 20 feet, we put some type of structure between the bathrooms and make that 20 feet, I don't know if you want to call it a wall, gateway, or whatever, to the bathroom. That's all I'm asking. Because nobody deserves to cook and eat, and the bathroom door is open, and all of a sudden, y'all know what I'm doing. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
There'll be no more discussion on the MLK Center. There'll be no more full business to come before the public business will recess.
Thank you. Insurance and personnel, Ms. Stringfellow.
Thank you, Mayor. I haven't had a really long speech prepared, but I'm not gonna say it. No, I'm just joking. Okay, the Insurance and Personnel Committee will convene. We do have a quorum. There are no action items or discussion items, but I did just want to welcome Mr. Glenn Dorr, our new city clerk. Thank you, and I'm sorry we were so long tonight. Thank you. And I had the opportunity to meet him Friday, and it was a good talk. Thank you. And are there any other items to come before Insurance and Personnel?
I just want to apologize to him, because when I saw it go, I know who the hell he was. I could read it that so quick.
Well, he knows you now, so, yeah. And we'll recess.
Thank you. Next, Community and Economic Development, Mr. Reggie.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with some reports. Garden Club is still out for the summer. They'll be back in September. The Chamber said that they're still in planning mode for upcoming events. Their economic development work has hit some projects in the works, but nothing official to report. There's a ribbon cutting for Thrive Physical Therapy on July 18th at 1 p.m. And there's also a parish-wide mayoral luncheon on July 30th. Is that right? She didn't say where, so I don't know where.
On the town clerk.
Town Club, okay. What time is that?
I think 11:30.
Lunchish. And then I talked to Val. She says she's has about 70 events working. The earliest is probably Kids Day, with the city's going to be co-hosting. She also said Miss Crowley is back at the Rice Theater, which will be July 30th at 6 p.m. And she's working on the City of Crowley's coloring contest with Claire Gore. The entries will be posted in the windows of the Rice Theater, and that'll be July 22nd for the deadline for that. And I think Ms. Jill's here for Crowley Main Street to give a report. I know the Main Street Director is on maternity leave. So.
Hello, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to come. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come every month to give a report on the Main Street and what we've been up to. I certainly appreciate the city's support of the program. As you all know, it's a program that has been a part of the city of Crowley for many years, and Road. As Sammy said, our new Main Street Director is on maternity leave. She had a beautiful baby boy in early June. He's really cute. The little family's doing well. She will be back in full action later this July. So we're looking forward to having her back and really getting going in the different projects and the different events that we have planned for the rest of the year. She's new, so she has a lot to learn, but I'm very excited and think that she's going to be a very big asset to the Main Street program in the city of Crowley, and also working with Val to promote the city. So I kind of wanted to give you a little update on some of the projects we've been working on. First of all, if many of you remember that the city of Crowley received a CLG grant last year, it partnered with Crowley Main Street to resurvey the historic district. That grant has been completed. The consultant is completed with all the data. She has officially submitted it to the State Preservation Office that takes that information in and then makes little suggestions and officially accepts it. We would like to invite her probably after everything is done and officially accepted with the state in the next month or so to come to Crowley and kind of anybody who's welcome. I definitely encourage this council maybe whenever she does come to come and listen to what the project entailed and her findings. I got a brief overview of some of her final reports. And she made some really great suggestions on how to expand the historic district boundaries. And many of you might also understand as well is that the city of Crowley has a lot of historic districts outside of what we know as the commercial and residential historic district. The Mill Street area is very historic and significant to Crowley. The West Crowley has a lot of African American culture and a lot of history there. And so her report kind of touched on different areas that the city council might want to consider creating these other districts to further economic development in that area. So that's really exciting to know and to see if that's something the city would like to pursue, that that's available to them. So she's going to be coming to Crowley, and that definitely will be heavily promoted by the Main Street program. And I would encourage you all to take a moment to come and listen to what she found out. Also, Louisiana Main Street has the grant available because the city of Crowley is a designated Main Street district, and we are part of the Louisiana Main Street Network. There is a grant that they give out every year that people, businesses, and property owners within the Main Street district are eligible for. It's a matching grant. Grants range between $2,500 to $10,000. And the city of Crowley businesses and property owners have taken advantage of that in the past. A lot of our properties downtown have utilized this incentive and have applied and have been accepted and it's done the work. The last one you may remember is on the side of the Egan Hotel. Mr. L.J. Gillen received a grant to redo the side of that building. So that is a grant that is available. The deadline to apply for the grant is July the 30th. And we encourage any business in the Main Street District or business to contact Crowley Main Street. The application for that is on our website, and so it's available. Also, as Mr. Sammy touched on a little bit, the city of Crowley has co-sponsoring Kids Day with us. Kids Day has grown tremendously, and I think it's been a very welcome event for a lot of people. It's very family friendly. We pushed it more into the September months. Hopefully it'll get a little cooler. You never know what the weather's going to do. But that will be held on September the 17th. And so we hope some of the city departments, like the fire department, the city police will consider coming out there, because I really think it's nice to see the kids engaging with the firemen and the policemen in a different way. I think it's a very positive event. It brings out a lot of children, families, and it's good. So, and let's see, I think that rounds out what I have for this month. Yes, Yes, oh, and the Main Street will be represented. There is a summer conference that's gonna be held on July 27th and 28th in Ponchatoula, Louisiana. So Crowley and Main Street will be represented at that Crowley Main Street State Conference as well. So we're continuing to represent Crowley on the state level, national level, and definitely watching out for different things that come across the board for how we can improve our district and our city as a whole. So thank you for your support, and thank you for the opportunity to give you an update.
Yes, sir, Mr. Martin.
Jim. You say, Jim, you say that the festival or whatever is gonna be in Ponchatoula?
The state summer Main Street meeting is in Ponchatoula.
And what date is it?
July the 27th and 28th.
I'll be in Hamilton.
Ponchatoula, 27th and 28th.
Okay, that's the same Ponchatoula where the strawberries come from.
Yes, yes, sir.
We can send our representative over there?
What?
We'll be represented.
Our Main Street Director will be attending that. It is a mandatory conference, to stay in Main Street program or district. We must send someone, and our Main Street Director will be attending that conference. For sure, we do open it up to other Main Street board members or volunteers, but our Main Street Director will be attending for sure.
Well, I'd like to see our representative, which is our chair, go over there and
I can check the schedule.
take the schedule and make sure we bring back the strawberries.
We also have another conference that is a mandatory conference. It's called Destination Downtown. What it does, it combines 3 states. That's Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. That's sort of a quarterly conference. So it combines all those different states. All these people in Main Street and economic development attend this conference, and that is going to be in Little Rock in September. So that is a mandatory conference, so someone from the Main Street, or someone from Crowley has to represent Crowley Main Street. So someone will be for sure attending that. But of course, we always encourage anyone who wants to attend these conferences. You're more than welcome.
I might skip. I'll be in Hammond at the time. That's why
This is a thought. My son and daughter-in-law brought my grandson to Eunice the other day, and there's kind of like a kid's day, and they had a touch a truck display. And they were so impressed by that because the kids got to get into a fire truck, they got to get into a police unit, they got to get into these big trucks, cranes, all kinds of stuff. And that would be a good attraction downtown also. So just food for thought if you make.
And what did you call it? Say that again. My hearing aids are a little low today.
Okay, mine too. Touch a truck was what it was called.
Touch a truck?
And they were able to actually go and touch the trucks and
Well,
it's pretty neat from what they said. They were
we
very, very.
really love having the fire trucks there. They usually do. The police cars have been there in the past. Sometimes if they're available, they are. Ambulances, we have Bruce's tow truck service that is a sponsor. I'm trying to encourage some other construction trucks to come as well, but that's a great idea. I think the kids really, they love it, you know? Thank you for that suggestion.
Anything else for this kid? Jill, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you, Kim. Anything for Kim too? Got nothing for Kim? Thank you, Jill.
No, but I have a sister, Kim. She answers to me, I answer to her, so.
Sorry. All right. Appreciate you. All right. Under action items, I have none, and under discussion items, I also have none. Anything else to come before Community and Economic Development Committee? I will recess.
Thank you. Next is Revenue and Finance, Mr. Cavell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Revenue Finance Committee will convene all present except for Mr. Primo. Under action items, we will omit number 1 and 2. There were a couple of last minute items that came up. It was necessary for further review before we present the budget. So we'll move to number 3. Action item to consider a resolution for the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, fixing and levying the millage on the 2022 tax roll. I so move. Any seconds?
Second. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Who, second?
I offer. Brad second. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Hancock?
Yes, can you explain to us what this is?
This is an annual thing in order to bring the taxes up so the millages stay the same.
Yes, that's correct, roll call, that's correct. Yes, sir.
Do you know the percentage?
Roll call, it's on the next page.
Oh, it is.
When you look at your meals, that's currently what you get now. Or that's currently what you pay now, not you. So it's like Brad said, Mr. Corr said, it's roll forward, so it's the same amount.
Anybody else?
I had a question.
Yes, sir. Ms. Martin?
Just want to make sure, Mayor, is that the same, role dealing with the map? Isn't she from the map?
No, this is coming from the King Parish Assessor's Office. They're rolling this forward.
Okay,
We continue. And this will probably be coming up for an actual vote in 2025, I think. As long as there's no increasing in villages, then it just rolls over. You just continue to do the same thing every year.
I just want to make sure, because I know we have a program that gives the map, I just want to make sure I retain it. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
My pleasure. Anybody else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. No discussion on Revenue and Finance Committee agenda, recess.
Is it me or do we have more people?
We had more people.
Okay, Glenn.
What I do?
Yeah, apparently, the other side, they have to do what I'm reading.
Go to your stop streaming.
Let's get the bag, you gotta take.
Stop streaming and stop recording.